Please laugh.
Yeah, some of this fiction that believers construct for themselves, this model that what they believe is true, at least for them, a lot of it's totally driven by cognitive bias. They latch on to anything they think confirms what they want to believe, and they discount any evidence. I mean, I can't even tell you how many emails we get from theists who cite the success of the prayer studies. And, you know, we have to remind them, oh, you mean the ones that were determined later to be fraudulent? And, oh, by the way, one of the researchers not only, you know, was disgraced, and he was actually, I think they were looking at maybe some criminal charges against him because of some of the things he did. So, I mean, but they don't know about that stuff. And so, you know, you can't discount the effect of cognitive bias with people maintaining what they want to believe already as far as this, you know, subjective perception of what's going on.
There's a lot of people's hands up. We only got like 7 minutes left. Maybe we'll do an after show. Yeah.
Oh, real quick, I would just like to say is to connect the subjective and the not being a dick thing. I think what would be helpful is just saying to people not to disagree with you or disprove you, but, and then reinterpret, re-express.
To disprove them if they're actually wrong.
Well, no, but they receive it better. They don't get it as offended or as offended. That's just been my experience. You just say not to disagree with you or disprove you, but, and then if they still get combative, be like, well, that's how I read what we both agree what we read. This is how I interpret it.
I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of conversations that have been had about the method by which we go through things. I'm not a fan of style over substance, and I'm not a fan of lying just to soften the blow for somebody. I think it's possible to be honest and compassionate. So instead of perhaps saying not to disagree with you, but you could say something along the lines of, and see, I don't agree with that, and here's why. Nobody's going to change their mind. Here I am making an absolute statement. Nobody's going to change their mind until they're challenged. And I realize that there's different ways to challenge, and I'm not saying that that method doesn't work, because it probably does. It's not me. I sat down with Dave Silverman last night, and Dave, are you in here? He's learning about sex. I talked in Iowa, and I wanted to talk to Dave about the talk that I gave in Iowa. And you know, Dave and I are both people who generally appreciate brutal honesty. That often manifests in assuming that other people would appreciate brutal honesty. That's not always true. I recognize that. I can't say that what you're saying is wrong, and it may be incredibly effective. And it may be the case that I do something like that on occasion. But if I say not to disagree with you, I'm lying. And I don't ever want to start a conversation with a lie, unless I'm doing magic. And then I'll lie all the time.
Well, and I think it's important to recognize that people should be respected, but ideas don't deserve any respect. So people's beliefs, their ideas, or whatever, they're only deserving of respect to the extent that people can demonstrate that they're true or probably true. So challenging someone's ideas or their beliefs, that's not disrespectful to the person. In fact, I think that pretending that some obviously ridiculous idea has some merit, I think that's disrespectful to the person. You know, you're basically telling them, okay, you know, you can't think any better than this, so I'm going to ignore the nonsense that just came out of your mouth. So, you know, but I think that for a lot of believers, because I hear it from time to time, it's like, okay, we disagree on this, but you have to respect my beliefs. No, I don't. And in fact, I don't respect your beliefs. So, you know, if they want me to respect them, they have to demonstrate that there's some merit to the beliefs.
Well, I'm
Exactly, yeah.
I'm just saying we should be, if we're concerned about the good, we should be more concerned about how people behave. I agree that changing how people think changes how they behave, But you can think whatever crazy thing you want, as long as you're not running around, negatively affecting people.
Yeah, and that's a point that we've made on the show that, people ask, what do you have against Christianity or Christians? It's like, nothing. If they weren't trying to influence public policy and drown out other voices, we wouldn't have a problem at all. But they are in fact doing that. And so when you step out into that realm, then we're going to challenge you.
We don't mind them being Christian if they just shut up about it.
And actually, I'm a little different, because I mind them being Christian. My thing is, the reason I do this is because I actually care about other people and also about the world I live in. I talked about this a little early on. Well, there's only 3 minutes left, so I don't know if we're going to get to more callers because I'm about to rant. I would love to say that, and I do, I respect everybody's right to believe whatever they will. I mean, you can't even oppose that. It's absurd to try and make laws that try to dictate what's in somebody's mind. We're nowhere near a technological age where we could even attempt to enforce such a thing, but it's absurd anyway, and it violates a basic principle of freedom, which I value greatly, because I have to have my right to believe as I will. And by the way, I don't believe that beliefs are a choice. I believe that beliefs are the result of becoming convinced of a statement. And so you don't just choose to believe something, you are convinced, and you can be convinced for good reasons or bad reasons. You can be convinced to different degrees of certainty, short of absolute certainty. There are very few things that we could ever possibly be absolutely certain about. And so while I'm happy to say that I don't respect a Christian's beliefs, but I respect their right to hold their beliefs, that doesn't mean that I am happy that they stay a Christian. Because the idea that you can hold false beliefs in your head and have it affect nothing is stupid. Every belief you hold potentially affects every other belief you're going to hold. It affects your decision-making process. And yes, the fact that you believe that there's some magical being in the sky who loves you and is going to whisk you away to Disneyland when you die, and that may not affect the decisions that you make about how to spend your money, but it might. It may not affect how you vote, but it might. It may not affect how you treat your homosexual neighbor or the woman who lives down the street, but it might, and you don't know it. I talked early on in this talk about how we train ourselves through conditioning, inference, and induction. Every belief that everybody holds in their head has some value. No belief exists in a vacuum, and no person exists in a vacuum. The only time I would be happy with somebody being a Christian, well, that can't ever happen because I'd have to be dead and there'd only have to be one other person left in the universe. And if I'm dead, I can't be happy about it. And if there's one other person in the universe, well, I don't know how they could possibly be a Christian in the first place. I care about what people believe because I care about the kind of world I live in. I'm baffled by those who don't. I have friends who are apathetic about all this. I kind of understand it. I'm fine with the idea of looking out for yourself and making sure you're taken care of. I'm a fan of selfishness, and my selfishness includes doing everything I can to change the world I'm in because I also benefit from that. So while I'm happy to let people have their beliefs and not try to forcibly steal them away from them, I want to take them away through reason, and by them giving them up and finding a reality-based alternative. And on that note, we are over time. But thank you.